This is In Your State and On Your Screen, your no bullshit guide to how your state is or isn't protecting your digital rights. Today, we're doing part 1 of the M states. Let's start with Maryland, the new player with the big teeth. Maryland just passed the Maryland Online Data Privacy Act in 2024, and here's what makes it stand out. It sets lower threshold for enforcement. Most states only apply privacy laws to companies handling the data of 100,000 people plus. But in Maryland, the bar is much lower. That means smaller businesses, not just tech giants, could also be on the hook. And it expands who's responsible and who's protected. There's strict rules on data collection. MODPA includes what's called data minimization, which means businesses can't collect everything just because they want to. They can only gather what's necessary and proportionate to deliver the service that you ask for. So no more collect now and figure it out later. Sensitive data, absolutely hands off. Maryland goes further than most states by banning the sale of sensitive personal data altogether, even with consent, unless it's needed to perform a service you specifically requested. So think race, religion, health information, sexual orientation, and biometric data. They also require real risk checks. I love this. Businesses have to complete something called a data protection assessment before they do anything high risk, like profiling users, targeting ads, or handling sensitive information. These assessments are basically internal audits to answer, is what we're doing safe, necessary, and fair to people? So who's on the hook? Controllers and processors. A controller is the company that's deciding what data to collect and why. A processor is the service provider doing the collecting or storing on their behalf. Most state laws only hold controllers directly responsible, but Maryland says, no, if you handle the data, you're responsible too. So for Maryland, they're laying down one of the most proactive, people-first privacy laws in the country, and I absolutely love it. Next up is Maine. Maine hasn't passed a comprehensive consumer data privacy law. In their last session, the legislature rejected 2 competing privacy bills after months of negotiation, public hearings, and behind-the-scenes pressure. Both of the earlier proposals had serious ambition, including data minimization limits, strong consent rules, and privacy rights of action, but they fell short. In this session, the bills are now back, including LD 1088, and LD 1224. If one of the current bills passes, people in Maine would get real consent requirements. Companies would need clear affirmative permission before collecting sensitive data like health information, biometric information, race, or religion. They also put limitations on data collection, so companies can only collect what's necessary for the service offered, not whatever they feel like grabbing. And some new consumer rights include confirming if your data is being used. You can correct or delete that data. You can get a copy of that data in portable form, or you can opt out of targeted ads, profiling, and data sales. And with their extra protections for kids, there can be no targeted ads for teens between the age of 13 and 16, with much tighter rules for users under the age of 13. LD 1088 pushes for stronger protections by default. It says companies shouldn't just ask for permission, they should have to prove that they need your data in the first place. It's built around data minimization, not just notice and consent. So right now, Maine's stuck in this gap. There's no clear privacy standard across industries. Companies are playing by different rules depending on what sector they're in. Big tech and telecom lobbyists have pushed back hard, especially against strict consent requirements, and the idea that individuals should be able to sue if their rights are violated. And that's why the earlier bills failed. But in this session, these 2 new ones are back on the table, and they represent 2 very different visions for privacy and how they should work within the state. So if you live in Maine, track LD 1088 and LD 1224 and pay attention to which version moves forward. Contact your reps. Tell them you want strong consent limits on data usage and the right to take action if your privacy is violated. Next up on the docket, we have Massachusetts, which it's not historically a privacy pioneer, but that is changing very fast. In 2024, the Massachusetts Senate unanimously passed the Massachusetts Data Privacy Act, S.2608. That bill would give residents new rights to know, correct, delete their personal data, and opt out of targeted ads or data sales. It also classifies sensitive data like biometrics, health, religion, immigration status, precise location, and bans their use for those ads or sales unless necessary for the service that you requested. The bill would ban the sales of minors' data and block targeted ads toward kids as well. The ban on cell phone location data sales as a part of this act is being called the first in its nation. The bill is a shift from being the weakest link in regional privacy laws to a contender for top-tier protections. Massachusetts is on the edge of becoming one of the strongest privacy states with default protections, tight limits on sensitive data, and real accountability. So if you live in Massachusetts, some of the things that you can do is follow S.2608 and see how it changes in committee. Demand broad coverage. That means lower thresholds so businesses have to comply. Push for strong enforcement and privacy rights of action so you can sue if your rights are violated. And use your new rights once the law passes to audit what companies are actually doing with your data. And always educate your peers, especially groups that are more exposed to data exploitation. Next up, we have Michigan. And for the first time, there's a serious path for privacy on the table. In 2025, lawmakers introduced Senate Bill 359, which aims to create Michigan's first comprehensive consumer data privacy framework. This would be a major shift, bringing rights and responsibilities that aren't currently guaranteed under state law. SB 359 would apply to most medium to large size businesses that are operating in Michigan or companies that are targeting people that live there. This includes companies that handle the data of 100,000 or more consumers a year, or process the data of 25,000 people or more and make money by selling that data. So if passed, SB 359 would give Michigan residents access, correction, deletion rights over their personal data, the ability to opt out of targeted advertising, data sales, and profiling. It would force businesses to disclose what data they collect and how they use it, who they share it with, and how consumers can actually exercise those rights. And lastly, it includes enforcement by the Michigan Attorney General. So it still means you can't sue directly, but the Michigan Attorney General can. So what is holding this back and what do you need to watch? A previous version called SB 659 between 2023 and 2024 passed in the Senate, but it died in the House. Critics are saying that these new proposals could overburden smaller businesses, pushing heavy compliance costs. And some worry that carve-outs for financial firms, healthcare institutions will also weaken the law's effectiveness. There's also a lot of attention in Michigan to protecting reproductive health data. Efforts are underway to safeguard sensitive medical and personal data from misuse to targeting. So if you live in Michigan, what you can do right now is follow SB 359 and SB 360. Watch them through committee hearings, follow their amendments and their votes. Speak out, call your state rep and senator to support stronger consumer protections, not just diluted versions of them. So if you're a business, prepare now. Start auditing what personal data you collect. How do you use it? Where is it stored? Also, use what protections exist if you're a consumer. Demand transparency from companies now, even if you don't have these legal guarantees. And always educate your community. Most people don't know that there's this fight happening. Help them understand what's at stake. All right, next up, Minnesota.